So everyone's here. So I call this meeting to order. Ms. Thomas, would you do roll call, please?
Mayor Walker,
Present.
Ms. Mayor McGill,
Here.
Councilor Hill,
Here.
Councilor Payne,
Here.
Councilor Snook,
Here.
Okay, thank you. So next up, we have a resolution establishing the 2021 tax year tax relief percentage. One reading. Mr. Divers.
Yes, ma'am. I didn't know if you need me to say anything or anything at all. A good afternoon, council. This is just sort of the thing we do every year where we determine the amount, how we divvy up the state's portion of personal property tax relief. This year, we're going to set it for 40%. It was at 42% last year. I don't know if you have any questions about this or how it works out. I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions? Okay. All right, is there a motion?
I move we adopt the resolution establishing the 2021 tax year tax relief percentage.
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Thomas?
Mayor Walker,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGill,
Yes.
Councilor Hill,
Yes.
Councilor Payne,
Yes.
Councilor Snook,
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Next up, we have the ordinance for adopting the annual tax levy for 2021. This is the second reading. Mr. Bulls, do you have any?
I will just be glad to introduce this, that this is the, to the right page, the tax rate and tax levy ordinance. There will be no increases for either the taxes or the fees associated. Different from FY21 to FY22. And we will be recommending your approval for second reading and final approval for this ordinance.
Thank you, counselors. Are there any questions? Comments? All right, Ms. Thomas.
You want a motion?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I move we adopt the ordinance to establish the annual tax levy on various classes of property for the payment of interest and retirement of the city debt for the support of the city government and city schools and for other public purposes.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Ms. Thomas?
Walker,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McGill,
Yes.
Councilor Hill,
Yes.
All right.
Payne,
Sorry. Yes.
Councilor Snook,
Yes.
All right. And I know the next one was the ordinance adopting the annual budget, but we need to finalize the council budget, correct, before that conversation. So I know there were some emails going around, but I didn't get a chance to read them. So where are we at in that discussion?
Okay, Mayor and Council. Yes, we can handle it a couple ways. We've got to approve the final budget. And as part of that, you can either amend that motion with the changes that you would like regarding the council's discretionary account. Well, actually, that is how we would need to do it, because the council's discretionary account would have to become part of the budget. We had just some placeholders in there that I believe all of council wanted to amend. And so you would just have to have your discussion, and then you could make the motion accordingly to pass the ordinance with the amended amounts by line item, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Is the only issue that we have to remaining to decide the question of the council budget? Is there any other issue in controversy at the moment?
We at least have heard nothing.
Don't want to be presumptuous, however.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I sent out my budget request yesterday. Mr. Boyle sent out one that he and staff put together, and then as of now, none of the other four of you put out a budget request, correct?
I sent something in on Friday.
You did? Okay. I didn't see that.
Send it to all of us or just to the city manager? And
I just sent it to
Budget
Tina,
back.
I believe, because it was of the $1,000
yeah,
that we had talked about at city council meeting. I sent in, I think, $750 for engagement and $250 for hiring of experts for city council meetings.
Okay. So I guess it just needs to be alignment on the amount, whether it's the 1,000, the 2,200, or the 10,000, or some other amount. And then if the line items, and what the line items are.
Yeah, and I was comfortable with the version that was sent out later in the afternoon. I just didn't have strong feelings. My main thing was just not feeling like the speaker piece. I think that's something that council as a body could participate. I think any of these things council as a body can allocate funding to, but if we're going to be doing individual discretionary funds, and I agree with having meetings and events by individual councilors that include refreshments at the $500, meeting and events for other purposes at $250, and then constituent communication and outreach at $250, recognizing that we can certainly change that and a council vote can provide additional funding as needed. So I was comfortable with that breakout.
Is that the one that staff sent?
There was a revised version after getting feedback, yes.
That's, okay, I haven't seen that one.
and let me just say, I continue to believe that this is not a very good idea, but if we, obviously I was outvoted on that. Council, if council wants to do it, I would say let's just do what we said last time and have $1,000, essentially $1,000 per. The 500, 250, 250 proposal sent out by council, sent out by the staff later on today, is fine with me. Again, I personally think that the idea of paying people to come speak at council meetings is not a wise idea, but I can see some benefit to having food and refreshments and events and outreach and that kind of thing. So I would be again, reserving my general objection. I would far prefer the latter solution that was offered by staff later on today.
And again, I just think if there's any major outreach that we want to do, I can see a lot of that being done in collaboration with staff. And we've certainly, and then we think about our town hall meetings that were had before, even I was on council, that those are pretty robust, and certainly meals are provided and involved a lot of engagement and a lot of staff, but that was done through the city manager's office in conjunction with council. And so I think that those things are still things that we can do, and things like them, and those will continue to happen. I just see that this is just a specific thing for if an individual counselor wants to coordinate something on their own. But my preference is we just try to act as a body as much as possible when we're dealing with the public funds.
What other funds will we be dealing with as electeds? I mean, this whole notion that we are voted in at large and that it means the same thing. Just because there are no districts or wards is just absurd, because we all know that that is not the case. I mean, in theory, if it were possible, but it's not, and it hasn't been.
All the activities that we're talking about, we can do at greater amounts than what we're talking about here as a body. And I don't understand why we don't want to take a more collaborative approach to these things.
Michael and Sina, Councilor Hill, Councilor Payne and Vice Mayor McGill, do you all have any thoughts?
I mean, my main thing is I want us to take this opportunity to make sure, we're addressing something that was an issue that's been an issue for a couple of years. And we have this chance of also making sure that we're putting some thought into it. We're not going to get it right the first time. But this is exactly, I know we're taking this, we're back and forthing a lot, but this is exactly the policy changes that we need to be making. 10,000 is, almost as much as Richmond delegates get, and they have 4 times a budget as we do. So I can't go there. I don't think that's right. We do know that we're in the pandemic still, and we're not going to be doing a lot of this probably for a while. So I'd like to start out with this area of, I like where we're starting with staff suggestions, and that as we go through stuff, if we're finding we need more money, then we come back and we vote on it together about, hey, this is what we're finding. We need to change it. That's where I'd like to see this going, because I think this is an opportunity to take some new eyes at some very old policies and rectify some issues. So we might not be perfect, but I'd like to start it out where we're at and see how we go from there.
I don't really have strong thoughts. I mean, again, I think this is a specific area that's allowing expenditures under state law that was not allowed before. And this is one part of the overall policy. I don't really have strong preferences on the dollar amount. I'm fine with either the proposal that I think was $1,000 or the initial proposal, if I'm remembering correctly, from yesterday that was $2,200, even if that is removing the speaker piece and just readjusting that amount to other areas. Either I'm fine with. So don't really have a strong preference or thought either way. And I guess in either case, that money is coming from the strategic initiatives because it's above what's already allocated in council's budget. Okay.
Correct, yes.
But I guess of the proposals we've received, acknowledging that they can always be revisited and changed in the future, I guess my initial thought would be just that 2,200 one, even if it may make more sense to just remove the speaker piece and reallocate the rest of that money to the other areas. Because I just don't anticipate realistically the speaker piece being more likely than the other line items. But I guess that's sort of my thought right now.
So it seems that there is agreement for the $1,000 budget proposal from staff. All right. So is there a motion?
So Chip, you said we should go ahead and move the ordinance and as amended with these line items.
You could, yes, if you could.
Vice Mayor McGill, did you have a preference to keep the dollar amounts that you proposed?
No, thank you. I appreciate you asking. I I don't think we're going to get this right the first time around. I think we're going to need to be altering this because it's the first time we're doing this. But I just really think it's a good start. And I'm just glad we're getting something down that, you know, gives us good direction.
Okay, I move we adopt the resolution adopting the budget for the city of Charlottesville for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022, and providing for the annual appropriation of funds for such fiscal year with the amendments for the amounts by line item for the city council budget as discussed.
And just to be clear, that's for a $5,000 expenditure from the council strategic initiatives fund.
Yes.
Wait, what happened to the 2,200 that was getting reappropriated? I'm so confused.
That was
I thought we were
yesterday.
talking-
There was a proposal for 2,200 that included 1,000 for speakers. There was another one today that removed the speakers.
See, I didn't see that one and I've been looking for it.
The
I don't care.
2,200 is actually in the budget appropriation. The $1,000 revised proposal was in an email that Chip sent to council this afternoon.
At 1:43 p.m. if you're looking through your Outlook. At least that's when my computer says it came.
I can't even get to there. Hold on. I think I'm on that. It's just there's an email chain that then takes over things.
It just breaks out. So like you gave to Kina your breakout for the 1,000, it just breaks it out slightly differently. So the meetings and events for food and refreshments, it gets $500 per counselor. Meetings and events for other needs related to meetings and events are $250, and then constituent communications and outreach is at $250. So I think Ms. Thomas was just curious if you were okay with those breakouts or.
Yeah, I was more curious because I thought we were voting on 2,200 with 1,000 taken out of the speakers and reallocated to the other things. But again, we can always come back later and ask for more to be put into it if we need to. So I'm good with whatever. I just wanted to be clear what I was voting on.
Okay.
And I just resent the email to the council email if you need to see it.
I don't think it's been seconded yet, so I will second it.
Are there any further council discussion? So I just want to make the same comments I've been making the entire process. As someone who attended budget sessions for a lot of years and watched them very closely and participated in it since early 2012, I think that hopefully moving forward, there will be just a more inclusive process, and that we get a better handle on the staff request and have some sort of system available for ranking those requests. I had a lot of hope, Councilor Hill, when we went through the vibrant community process, changing it from the ABRT, knowing that things take time, but I think this process is slower than it needs to be. And it's not changing as quickly as it could change. And I hope in the future that that is something that that works better for citizens. What was my third point? The council dollars, I thought originally that by us voting on these expenditures in the past, after asking some former council members, that the line item that we had allowed us to do things that we requested, we wanted to do individually. Again, I use authoritarian and paternalistic a lot, and I feel that way today. And even just now, just the ask of how the proposals, what we wanted to do, and the fact that Counselor Snooks even changing it for 2,200 to 1,000, which is still pretty insignificant in a very active year. And so I just hope there's a lot of, I think, work that can be done. I know that we had some major staff changes, but there have been staff members who have been consistent. And one thing I know that we don't have money for, but I hope that we find some money, since the council engagement part, was limited. I hope in future budgets that we see that sort of engagement from a staff level being expected from the community. And we still have to review the boards and commissions and the partnership with the city manager on how to pay people for their time. It is unethical. We look around at our boards. It's not a lot of diversity. I think the ABRT Vibrant Community Board was the most diverse board that we have ever had in the city. Those individuals did not get paid for their time on that board. But I think it was a good representation of individuals, and hopefully we can get more boards like that, so that we can be truly hearing from individuals throughout the city, and not just people who have the time or resources. That's it. Any other comments? No. All right, Ms. Thomas.
Mayor Walker,
No.
Vice Mayor McGill,
Yes.
Councilor Hill,
Yes.
Councilor Payne,
Yes.
Councilor Smith,
Yes.
Did you hear him?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so that's all right, is there anything else that we need to? All right, thank you all, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
For all the efforts throughout this whole process.
Thank you. Indeed.
We don't need public comment?
Mm-mm. It wasn't on our agenda.
Okay.
We can do public, I don't think.
Well, the planning commission
Yes,
is in
6
7 minutes.
Okay.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.